Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to welcome you to the the inaugural episode of the Beyond the Mat podcast. My name is JoshhyWrestling. It is Wednesday, the 23rd of the day. It's finally here. If you are someone who is close to me in my life, you know that this is something I've been super excited about for the longest of times. I've always wanted to do this, but I've really been sat on it for a very long time, whether I really want to execute on it. And here we are. I'm so excited to announce this is the very first episode of the Beyond the Mat podcast. We've got so much to talk about, but first of all, I would like to thank you for tuning in from the bottom of my heart, whether you are watching here on YouTube or whether you are listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Amazon, any of those fantastic major podcast platforms. I'd like to thank you for tuning in. As well as that, do us a favor if you could. Hit a like wherever you are watching, drop a comment as well. And also, this podcast is very much going to be very you driven. It's going to be you guys asking the questions. I've got a lot of questions kind of backed up as well, but it's going to be solely led on kind of the audience. The audience is going to be asking the questions, and they're very much going to be kind of Q&A based very much. Like I said, a lot of questions lined up for kind of future episodes, but if there are questions that you're bearing to get answered, then please do drop them wherever you are watching. As well as that, give me all of the feedback as well, wherever you're watching. Tell me if you're on YouTube, if everything looks good, you think it looks like a good setup, or if you've got any improvements for me. And the same being on any of those audio platforms as well. At the end of the day, I would like this to be viewer led. I just want to answer the questions and make sure that this is the best 30 to 45 minutes of your day. If possible, I want this to be exciting. I want it to be informative. I don't want it to be boring. And I want it to be very much a good listen for everybody. So if you don't know already, my name is JoshhyWrestling. I am a content creator based out of the UK. I've been doing this now for 11 months. 11 months is pretty crazy. You're probably thinking, why are you doing a podcast? That is a great question. Why am I doing a podcast? Let's take that back a little step. Let's go back to why I started content creation. So I come from a marketing background. I do a lot of creative stuff in my day-to-day life, but I wanted to do something kind of outside of those usual 9 to 5 hours, kind of something for myself as well. And it was really a toss-up kind of what it is I wanted to do. I'm a very creative person. I like to create things, whether that's drawing, painting, making things in general, tangible things. And it came to me as a question of, well, what is it you want to do more of? Why do you want to be more creative, and how are you going to become more creative? And I really wanted to get into kind of the recording space, recording videos and putting them out there of some sort. And the question was then is, what am I going to talk about? I'm a huge wrestling fan. I'm a huge wrestling fan. If you know me by now, this is all wrestling. You're going to get nothing else on any of the socials, by the way, whether that's TikTok, whether that's YouTube. It's always going to be wrestling. Wrestling is my passion. Wrestling is everything to us. It's our safe space, and we love it. And that's what this was going to be. This is what this was always meant to be. I couldn't imagine myself going down a different route where I'm going to cover like a sport that I like, such as football or mixed martial arts or anything like that. It had to be wrestling. And in my opinion, it is the best thing I have personally ever done in terms of doing something for myself. And honestly, it's been a fantastic road. We've built a fantastic community. Starting things off over on TikTok. We've just hit 14,000 followers over there on TikTok. And if you're a TikTok follower or you follow any of the socials at all, I'm very thankful for all of the support that I have been given across everything. YouTube, we've got a longer form over on YouTube as well. We do streams on a Monday night. We also do streams on a Friday night, and also before upcoming PLEs, active on all the socials every single day. We also have a community Discord server full of incredible like-minded wrestling folk. We've got 320 plus people in there active, all in there because in 2025, you shouldn't be a lonely wrestling fan. You really shouldn't. There are a lot of fantastic communities that would love to have people in and making friends and getting to know people, because that's what wrestling is all about. It's about sharing those moments with people close to you and people that you're, that are similar people with similar mindsets. So that's what the Discord server is for. It's a safe space for people, like-minded people, to go in and do all things, pro wrestling, music, game, TV show, films. It really is a one-stop shop for everything. And it's a space that I'm genuinely super, super proud of. We've managed to get 320 plus people in there, speaking, meeting new people. It's super, super rewarding. And that's that. That's the content creator stuff. It's actually 11 months to this day that I started all of this content creation stuff and kind of amassing around 19,000 followers across all of the socials. So why a podcast? The podcast bit was answered right there. I needed another outlet. I wanted an outlet that could support the content creator stuff that I'm already doing. So in that form, I do a lot of kind of live streams via TikTok and YouTube, and we get a lot of questions in them that I often sit and think that I could explore a lot more of. But sometimes it's not always possible, and comments do get missed. Sometimes we can have some really busy lives and people are asking questions and they don't really get the full attention or full kind of description to detail that they deserve and that I think they should get. Hence why now the Beyond the Mat podcast has been born. That is what this is for. I've said it a few times. This is going to be community-led. So if there are any questions, these are going to be recorded on a Tuesday and go out on a Wednesday. So that's just after a Monday Night Raw. That's just after PLEs that tend to be on a Sunday. Or even if you've got questions around SmackDown or past or present or future wrestling from all different promotions around the world, by the way. I don't just watch WWE. I watch WWE, AEW, TNA, GCW, and a lot of Brit Rest stuff as well. So this is very much an all wrestling, no tribal BS place, in my opinion. We don't do any of that tribal stuff here. It is all about wrestling because we love professional wrestling. Kind of getting into that, how did I get into wrestling? And what I'm actually going to do a little bit here is refer to a Substack that I've made. So a Substack is a blog. I started writing blogs a couple of months ago. To be fair, I haven't done that many. They do require a little bit more attention than kind of the quick TikTok/YouTube videos. Nevertheless, I'm going to try and wheedle down a little bit of this blog in terms of how I did get into wrestling. And I think a lot of kind of what I'm going to discuss here is going to be things that resonate with people. People are going to read these things and listen to this podcast right now, if you're still here, that is, and think, wow, I resonate with that. That's exactly the same, or that's similar, or hopefully, if not the same, I hope they kind of unlock the memories that you had from growing up of getting into wrestling. A lot of people's memories of wrestling do come through family members or through, maybe their dad watched it, their brothers watched it, and it just became something that they never grew out of. Now, a lot of people do grow out of it. There was a time and a period, which I will get into, where a bit of love for it was lost, or you get a little bit older and you kind of move away from it, So what I'm going to do, I'm going to go a little bit through this and kind of, if there's anything that does resonate, just let me know in the comment section down below. I was pretty happy with the blog in general. So we take the memory back. My earliest memory of a WrestleMania as such was John Cena versus Shawn Michaels, WrestleMania 23. Back in 2007. So I didn't watch it live, and I'm trying to figure out kind of pinpoint whereabouts in age I was. And I think this was around 9 or 10 years old when I did manage to get round to WrestleMania 23, which was 2007. It's hard to give it an exact date. It's hard to give it an exact timeline because it was a lot of years ago, respectfully. In terms of kind of the earliest memories that I can think of was really around getting home after school. You're playing on the Xbox 360 with my cousin. Bro, those were the times, man. You'd get home, you'd play Halo 3, you'd play WWE SmackDown versus Raw. No responsibilities at all. You just get home, you watch WWE, you play your games, and that period of life was honestly incredible. you know, memories of SmackDown versus Raw. You're doing GM mode. Who remembers GM mode, by the way? What a fantastic time. And what GM mode right now is not the same as GM mode back in the day. I'll tell you that. The 2K25 GM mode and those SmackDown versus Raw games, completely different. But it was always me and my cousin, man. Always me and my cousin. I would remember we would be going back and forth every single week. Who was going to be winning? Who was getting the best ratings? Even like the level of analysis on them games were absolutely incredible. And we just had to win. We both had to win. We were super competitive. And we would watch the shows together a lot. I would probably give my cousin the biggest the biggest amount of credit of me getting into professional wrestling. So we watched a lot of WWE together. We watched every single Royal Rumble, every single WrestleMania, and also a lot of TNA. Like, there was days when TNA was absolutely super hot, and he loved that over WWE at one point. And I was like, this guy must be crazy. But watching TNA and watching it as it was at that time with the boom around the aces and eights and stuff, it was incredible. It was incredible. I mean, alongside that, a lot of earlier memories as well with my mum watching TNA. So we would watch TNA because it would be on the free channel. So I could only ever watch WWE if I went to my cousin's, or if it was on YouTube or anything like that. So unfortunately, I couldn't watch WWE on a regular basis back then. But it would be kind of if I went to my dad's or if I went to my cousin's. But that's kind of then where the love for TNA kind of came in. So it was me and my mum would watch it every single Sunday on Challenge TV, on Dave. There was a few UK channels that would have it on for free every single Sunday. It was around the Hogan, Bully Ray, Aces and Eights, that kind of days. It was phenomenal. Not to throw the pun in there, but Christopher Daniels, Samoa Joe, and the phenomenal AJ Styles. I mean, one of my favorite matches of all time, by the way. And those two memories right there with kind of my cousin, my mum, they're very early memories. Another memory is actually sitting there in my dad's house whilst watching wrestling and building and creating paper wrestling belts. That was a great memory. Like, if you have children, if you're listening to this and you have children, that is such a fantastic way to keep yourself occupied or keep your young one occupied for hours. I would have so much fun sitting there with 3 A4 pieces of paper, creating the design in the middle and then creating the 2 straps along the side. You then cut them out and stick them together. But hours and hours of fun kind of designing them and coloring them and painting them and doing all of that fun things that a lot of other kids aren't doing. And I thought that was super cool. I would spend hours. I would do the first one, then I would do another one, and I would do kind of the different variations of the title. So I was always a big fan of Cena's spinner belt. I absolutely loved the spinner belt. I was so passionate about making sure that my paper belt was the best paper belt that anyone could ask for. So much fun. So much fun. Like, the precision of cutting out and making sure that paper belt was beautiful looking. It was so important to little 9, 10, 11-year-old me. I'm telling you, if that is something, you should absolutely try that. If you are listening to this and you do have children, that is a great pastime, sitting there and making belts. And also, by the way, wrestling belts, this one right here, you're looking at £450, £500 to make those to buy those these days. You've got to get on the paper belts. It's free. Well, it's not free. It's a couple of quid, and it's hours of fun. It really is hours of fun. And a kind of another memory I'm kind of thinking of is actually going back to the John Cena versus Umaga days. Actually, a fantastic time in my opinion. As a kid, we went to WWE Raw. So me and the dad, we went to WWE Monday Night Raw. In Manchester, actually. And I remember John Cena getting beat up pretty badly by the late, great Umaga. Fantastic guy. One of my favorite of all time. But that's just a very vague memory. I remember us going. I remember me and my dad being super excited for it, and I remember my favorite, John Cena, being absolutely wiped out in the ring by Umaga. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best experience for myself, but it obviously was. Thinking back, at the time I'm a little kid, I'm thinking, oh my goodness, John Cena has just been beaten up by this man with face tattoos. What is going on? And honestly, from there on out, those core memories are probably what has led everything with me going forward. I was hooked. I was so hooked into wrestling. I told anyone that would listen. Anyone that would listen, I would tell my nan, I would tell my brothers, I would tell my sisters, and kind of as I've grown up, those around me, the loved ones around me, have also got into wrestling. I'm going to kind of keep going through kind of this blog that I put up. I'm very kind of swiftly following it. I'm not going too much into detail, but I was so hooked. I was hooked. Favorites: John Cena, Jeff Hardy, HBK, of course, DX as well. Huge fan of D-Generation X. I had absolutely everything. I had Cena merch, I had DX merch, Shawn Michaels merch individually, as well as Triple H's individually. I had toy belts. I had all of the toy belts alongside, of course, all of my paper belts that have probably been longly gone in the bin, unfortunately. Thanks, Dad. And yeah, so those were the days, man. Those were the days where where wrestling was reality. Wrestling was. I absolutely love wrestling right now, but no, wrestling back then, when it wasn't influenced by social media and online antics, and you wouldn't know kind of returns and things like that, it was a completely different time. Such a completely different time. But I wouldn't change what we've got right now. I really wouldn't. I really would not change. As the years kind of went on, I became hugely into NXT. Black and Gold days were phenomenal. Probably my favorite era of wrestling is the Black and Gold NXT days. That period of wrestling, some of the matches, Adam Cole, Aleister Black, Andrade, DIY, collectively and singular. Yeah, it's one of my absolute favorite time. Probably my favorite brand, the Black and Gold brand ever. Yeah, NXT back then, it hit different. It really did hit different. NXT right now is in what I believe to be a very good place. They've got some of the best women in the world. I actually believe they do have the best female division in the world right now. But back then, the wrestling was just different. When Triple H was in charge, and I know a lot of people agree with this. I see this all the time kind of through videos and stuff that I'm posting. A lot of people saying the very similar things. And then we're kind of moving on to that 2019 to 2021 period. This was a time in wrestling that was very dark. And I speak to a lot of people around this and this period. And a lot of people similar age as myself did fall off and kind of stopped watching. They moved on. Like, I went to university. I wasn't kind of watching for 2 or 3 years in that period. I don't know what it was. The product was not the product anymore. The product was not the product that I fell in love with kind of all them years ago as a kid. And it never was going to be the same. It never was going to be the same. But it just was not. And that was then my moment, my only moment in life where I have stepped away from watching wrestling. Thinking back now, it's obviously very sad that's how it had to be. But, nevertheless, it is what it is. I think maybe if I didn't take the break then, maybe I would have taken the break now. And in my opinion, it's a really exciting time to be a wrestling fan. During that period, I was still up to date. I kind of stayed in the know. I watched a lot of the Manias. I would be watching top 10s on YouTube to make sure that I'm kind of making sure that I'm up to date. I knew I was coming back to wrestling. I'm certain I was coming back to wrestling. But it's just, yeah, I fell out of love with it. I would watch it, kind of everything I've just previously mentioned in terms of videos and stuff, YouTube videos, but the love was just not there. The love was just not there. And all of that kind of changed. 2023, give or take. So I kind of caught back up 2021 to 2023, I was kind of catching back up. July 1st, 2023. That's a very, very important date. Money Bank 2023. London, the return of John Cena. This was the first episode of the first wrestling show that my girlfriend has ever watched in her entire life. And truth be told, she absolutely hated it. She's going to love that I have given her this gas on the podcast, by the way. On the first ever Beyond the Mat podcast. By the way, if you don't already, hit that like button and also subscribe as well. And follow as well, and all of that other good stuff, whatever platform you're on. I'm going to be honest, I don't really know the ins and outs of all of the podcast platforms. So in whatever way you can support on those platforms, I'd appreciate it a lot. So remember the date, July the 1st, 2023. It's Money in the Bank. And this is the first ever episode, the first ever wrestling show that the girlfriend has ever watched, and she absolutely hated it. She made it so obvious with comments such as, why doesn't she just grab the briefcase? It's right there. Why are they climbing the ladder so slow? This isn't real. You know, all of the very generic things that someone who doesn't watch wrestling would say. And in fairness, she's got a point. I've watched a lot of kind of Royal Rumbles and Money in the Banks where you're thinking, yeah, this is a little bit ridiculous. You could probably grab that if you tried. But nevertheless, we move. She was right. She was right. And don't tell me you've never thought about these things whilst watching a Money in the Bank ladder match, because in fairness, we all do. So she hated it. She hated it. We're moving swiftly on to January the 27th, 2024. I said that there was a Royal Rumble coming up, and she said, let's do it. She said, let's watch the Royal Rumble. So we watched it. She kind of watched it. She kind of watched it. And she didn't like it too much. She didn't like it too much in the same way. She didn't like it in the same way as much as she liked the Money in the Bank match. The funny thing about it is whilst I thought she didn't like it, she said to me 3 days later, despite not liking it, she said, that was great. That was great when it was, sorry, not quite 3 days. Sorry. So she said following the Royal Rumble that we watched, she said, that was fun. When can we watch more wrestling? In my mind, she is hooked. She is in. Oh my goodness, we have done it. My reply was, babe, we've got Monday Night Raw in 3 days' time. We have got Monday Night Raw. She was in. She was in. From there on out, she was in. She was a wrestling fan. Though, we have to mention this. I cannot let this story continue without saying this next moment. She told me, this was not funny when she told me, but it is actually very funny now. So she admitted to me that she actually did not like the Royal Rumble, despite telling me that she liked the Royal Rumble. She did not like the Royal Rumble, but she did enjoy watching how happy I was watching professional wrestling. Can you just think about that real quick for like 2 minutes? She told me that she liked wrestling, but she didn't. She just liked to see me happy. And her intentions were nice, but come on. She's going to kill me. I mean, it's all in the blog, by the way. It is all in the blog. But look, here on out of that moment, she absolutely fell in love with wrestling. And when I say fell in love with wrestling, she now watches Monday Night Raw, she watches NXT, she watches the odd AEW and TNA, she watches Friday Night SmackDown, she watches every single PLE live, and she also watches any other shows that they've got going on. I'll come home and she's watching WWE on YouTube. I'll come home and she's reading something about wrestling. This girl is absolutely hooked on pro wrestling, and she now is a huge part of why I am back into wrestling as much as I am right now. She's also a big part of kind of getting this content creation stuff going. I may not have gone for it if it was me in my head saying don't do it. And here we are. This is where we are at now. I am back in love with wrestling. I am here making a podcast about wrestling. I have to be in love with wrestling, but it's kind of, it's whether it's designing paper belts, it's kind of screaming over, GM mode, staying up late, watching PLEs with the family, the cousin, the mum, whoever. I'm now at a point where I'm watching on a full-time basis with the girlfriend whilst making creative content every single day. Wrestling has always found me, no matter what stage of my life. It sounds cringy, but I know a lot of people resonate with it. A lot of people resonate with it. I think that story, it's not just about nostalgia. It's also about connection. I know a lot of people have had those very similar connections to pro wrestling, to moments in pro wrestling. If any of it does resonate with you, let me know. Let me know down below. I appreciate it a lot because I like to hear people's stories on how they got into wrestling as well. So, what I've kind of covered there is why content creation, what is it I am doing, why am I doing it, and then also how I got into wrestling. Those are kind of the foundations that I wanted to set out in this show right here, the first show, by the way. And like I said, it's very, very, very going to be led by you guys. And that's where we're going to go with this right now. That's where we're going to go with this right now. TJ180, also known as Tom. Tom is a great friend that I've met through kind of this crazy world of content creation. He is he's fantastic. He is everywhere that kind of I am. I'll post things. He's right in the comments. He has been a great friend throughout this entire process. So Tom, I thank you. Moving on to your question. Current thoughts on WWE, TNA, and AEW. Man, pro wrestling right now is so hot. So hot. And what I'm not liking at the minute, in my personal opinion, a lot of people are comparing these three shows too much. Too much. Eric Bischoff was just on Ariel Helwani's podcast, and he said that he sat there saying that after this weekend Slammiversary, TNA is going to become the second biggest promotion in the world. And I don't know why it has to be like this. I really do not know why we have to be in competition. I mentioned earlier in the podcast that it's always going to be super non-tribalistic from me. I don't like it. I steer away from it. If it's happening in the Discord server, I like to set it straight away, pretty much. We don't like it. There's no room for it. In kind of any kind of the podcasts or any of the crazy stuff that I do. All three shows are on fire, man. We gotta look. Let's look at WWE, for example, right? WrestleMania 41. Think of it what you will, but over 2 nights they sold out the same stadium, 60,000 apiece, 120,000 fans turned up to watch WrestleMania 41. They're also about to sell out back-to-back stadium shows with the upcoming SummerSlam, August 2nd, August 3rd. WWE are on fire right now, whether you like the content or not, whether you like kind of anything, whether there's something you don't like, they are on fire right now. They are absolutely killing it. And I think in the last few months, the wrestling has come up. It's really perked up again as well. We've got a question on Evolution coming up, but I'm about to say it still. Despite the counter, whatever you think of the counter programming that WWE did last weekend, Evolution was absolutely phenomenal. In my opinion, one of the best of the year. But we are going to get into that in a minute. AEW, those guys are on fire. They just did AEW All In, absolute sellout. Incredible show. As are all of the All In shows. It was fantastic. I could not have seen that show going down any other way because that All In was all out incredible. We had Kenny Omega versus Okada for the Unified Championship. We had Will Ospreay and Swerve Strickland taking on the Young Bucks for those AVP titles. We had Mercedes Moné versus Toni Storm for the Women's World Championship. And of course, we had Hangman Adam Page obviously claiming the world title against Jon Moxley. That was one of the greatest cards of all time. And to see people now slating the other shows because of whatever reason, And then the last one, obviously, Tom mentioned there, TNA Slammiversary this past weekend was the biggest gate that they have ever done. These three companies are absolutely killing it, and I just don't understand why we have to find negativity in that. I really do not understand why we have to find negativity in this. I am proud to be a fan of WWE. I'm proud to be a fan of TNA, and I am proud to be a fan of AEW. I watch all of them on a regular basis. I watch Monday Night Raw, NXT, Friday Night SmackDown. I watch AEW Collision and AEW Dynamite. I watch TNA Impact. I also watch the second show as well. Like, there is so much wrestling. We should be happy. We should be happy. I don't understand people kind of hating on the other show and tagging wrestlers from other promotions and giving them the stick. It does not make sense to me. If three major wrestling promotions, probably the three biggest in the world, are doing well, then we as fans are doing well. That's what I'll say on that matter. That is what I will say on that matter. Luke on Wrestling, also another great fan, great guy, a great friend, I should be saying, a great friend. Man, this guy's a day one. This man, Luke on Wrestling, he means a lot to me. We watched WrestleMania this year together. Me, myself, River, Luke, and the missus as well. We had an incredible 2 nights for WrestleMania 41. The beers were flowing, the food was amazing, and honestly, just making some great memories with some truly great people. I have a lot of love for Luke on Wrestling. But Luke is asking right here, what did we think of Evolution? Was it the best pay-per-view of the year? Luke, Evolution, I said this a minute ago, Evolution is absolutely up there in the top 2 or 3 best pay-per-views of the year. I mean, let's just run down that card real quick. You know, they did 7,000 people. Sorry, no, I'm referring to Stand and Deliver right there. But Evolution was probably the one I enjoyed the most throughout the year. The wrestling quality was absolutely incredible, and I think it absolutely blown the water out of Evolution 1 back in was it 2018? Yeah, 2018. I mean, let's kind of run through it. Becky Lynch defeating Bayley and Lyra Valkyria. That was a really good match. I really wasn't sure which way they would go with it. I didn't know if they were gonna put the belt on Bayley. Obviously, that's a title that Bayley is not held, and it would complete her in this new Grand Slam championship scheme that she now has to win this one as well. I thought that was a great match. I love a triple threat match, and I love a triple threat match that is well organized. Everyone knows their place and everyone knows their spots. It was a fantastic match. 16 minutes it went on for. Honestly, it went so quick, and I think that's because I enjoyed it so much. JC Jane defeating Jordan Grace. Who saw that coming? I thought that was a really fun match. Obviously, Fatal Influence on one side. We had the new Blake Monroe. She's made the trip over from AEW, but she cost Jordan Grace that match. JC Jane, by the way, congratulations. She is now a double champion, now holding that women's TNA, the Knockouts Championship. Congrats to her. Absolutely huge. I didn't see that coming, by the way, but that is a completely different question. My favorite match of the night probably goes to the Fatal 4-Way tag match. That was so good. Roxanne Perez had to prove her spot in the Judgment Day by defending those women's tag team titles. And what I loved about this is we seem to have something now for the women's tag team titles. Those belts have been sat. I mean, WWE released a lot of incredible women's talent, and three of which were a part of women's tag teams. We thought this was the end of the women's tag team division. Last weekend, we had 4 women's tag teams. And there are more, by the way, with the Secret Service. Off the top of my head, there are more. There are more than just the 4 in that match. There's probably another 2 or 3, Natalia and Maxine Dupree as well. But what I'm trying to say is that there looks like we're getting a little bit of steam with this tag division now. And I think it's about time, right? It is absolutely about time. Liv Morgan, unfortunately, out, but she'll make a return. I'm sure that's going to be a very awkward encounter for Roxanne Perez when she does come back. But that was my match of the night. That absolutely blew me away. It really did. Tiffany and Trish, Jade Cargill versus Naomi. Stephanie Vaquer winning the 20 women battle royale. I thought that was a brilliant moment. I did predict Stephanie to win that. Yeah, I thought that was a really good match. I thought when it comes to her and Lash Legend right at the end, I could not see Stephanie Vaquer not winning that match. And finally, obviously the biggest moment of the night goes to Naomi. Who saw Naomi cashing in on the Raw Women's Champion? Not me. Definitely not me. Whilst maybe it was in the back of our mind, it was not something I considered on this night. And what a moment it was. I'm so happy for Naomi. She has had an incredible run so far. Like, I'm a huge Stephanie Vaquer fan, and I know that she is going to probably meet Naomi at Clash in Paris. I'm going to be in Clash in Paris. Very excited to see that, but I don't think that Naomi is going to drop that title anytime soon. She's on an incredible run. I'm really enjoying this caution stuff. I've wanted to see her go as a heel for a very, very long time. And look, she is absolutely killing it. Super, super happy for her. Evolution was incredible. It really, really was a good card. And the women absolutely blown it out of the water. It was the best. It was the best WWE pay-per-view of the weekend. I really enjoyed NXT. I really, really enjoyed the Great American Bash. I thought Ethan Page versus Ricky Saints for the North American Championship was a very, very good match. But Evolution as a whole absolutely blew it out of the water for me. In terms of was it kind of the best of the year? I also kind of have to give Elimination Chamber its props as well. You know, we had two very good Elimination Chamber matches. And we also had John Cena's huge moment of him turning heel. That was obviously a massive moment. You know, unfortunately, The Rock had to be involved. So that kind of does bring it down a little bit. But honestly, that card in Toronto was one of my favorite of the entire year. Does it go down as the best? I mean, I'm looking at the Evolution card. I'm looking at kind of what went down. And I'm probably going to say that Evolution maybe was the best. A lot of people giving WrestleMania Night 2 a shout as well. But I personally can't do that because I believe that WrestleMania Night 2 isn't WrestleMania. WrestleMania Night 1 and Night 2 form WrestleMania. It doesn't make sense to say WrestleMania Night 2 was the best pay-per-view of the year because let's face it, it's a two-way street. You know, if 50% is rubbish and 50% is great, it doesn't work out for me like that. I'm going to give it to Evolution, Luke. I think Evolution was the best pay-per-view of the year. And also on that Elimination Chamber card as well, it's easy to forget, but I don't know how I did forget it. Kevin Owens versus Sami Zayn in that unsanctioned match was ridiculously good, and I'm only mentioning that because it's right in front of me. Yeah, that was, I completely did forget about that match and how good it was. It was a very, very good match. But it was only 4 matches on that card. I thought Evolution top to bottom was 5-star, 6-star. I thought, yeah, we're going to give Evolution the best pay-per-view of the year. Those women deserve it. It was so, so good. It was so, so good. Fox Rider 12 is asking, what makes Seth Rollins my favorite wrestler? Well, spoiler alert, if you don't know me, Seth freaking Rollins is my favorite wrestler of all time. We have got, I think, a Pop Funko there and a image there. For those who are on YouTube, if you can't see what I've just pointed at and you are on the audio platforms, I just pointed a picture of Seth. And I've also got a Funko Pop as well of Seth as well. We're going to try and get some more Seth merch. We do have a Money in the Bank briefcase, Seth's Money in the Bank briefcase coming. I'm super excited to get my hands on that. I really, really am. Why is Seth my favorite? Seth has been my favorite since the Shield days. Kind of, he was around in NXT for a little while, and then the birth of the Shield. A lot of people's favorite was Roman Reigns, but Seth Rollins to me is, I believe right now, one of the best wrestlers in the world. He is injured. That man can make anybody look incredible in the ring, and I have to give him his props. Unfortunately, he is currently injured, like I said. But Seth Rollins, to me, he's always been exciting. He's had some incredible moments, WrestleMania, cashing in on Brock Lesnar, heist of the century, cashing on Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns to take home his first ever world title. That moment lives rent-free in my head as my favorite WrestleMania moment of the night as well. You've got to remember earlier in the night as well, he took that nasty RKO off the curb stomp of Randy Orton's back. Wow, man. Seth Rollins is in my eyes the GOAT. He is my GOAT. The man is charismatic. He can do it all as well. We've seen so many different versions of Seth Rollins. The man goes down as my favorite of all time. Not only that, though, we've also got Shawn Michaels, AJ Styles. Those two both. Will Ospreay. I've got a lot of people who are up there, but Seth does sit among the top. So thank you very much for the question, FoxRider12. It is a great question. And guys, that is going to conclude today's episode. I've managed to ramble on for 41 minutes. That's quite impressive. I thought it might be difficult to do a one-man podcast, talking just to the camera and kind of answering questions. If you have made it this far, please do let me know in the comment section down below. Hit the like button wherever you are. Follow if you're on different platforms. If you're on YouTube, make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, any of those kind of things, however you can support me on there, please do, if that means leaving a rating or anything like that. And also, please let me know if there are questions that you would like to be answered. There are kind of questions that are looming that I will wait until the next episode for. And there are also questions that were answered. The people have asked and were answered kind of in my initial spiel of what got me into wrestling. Look, if you are still here, I appreciate you tuning in. I really do. Thank you so much. Thank you for listening to the very first episode of the Beyond the Mat podcast with me, JoshhyWrestling. It's been an honor to have 42 minutes of your time. Thank you so much, and I will see you for the next one.